Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know I've been gone for a long time. I have been really trying to decide like what I want to put on my channel. Like coming up with video ideas, it just ain't business. It's not. But I thought, what better way to get back on YouTube than to film my coming out story during Pride Month. Happy Pride to all of my queer babies. So, first let me start off by saying that anybody who's struggling with their sexuality, the best advice I can give is to always be true to yourself. I think that's one of the hardest things to do because we try to conform to what the people around us want to see and how the people around us view us. And I think anybody who is struggling, whether it be because of family, religion, or just your own internal battle, you just have to understand that you only live once and it's okay to be you. Like, you can't be anything other than who you are. Like, it just doesn't make sense to be anything other than who you are. And you are perfectly imperfect. And that's just life. No one is perfect. Everyone has preferences. Everyone has a type. And it's just okay. Don't be so hard on yourself. To anyone that is young and struggling with sexuality, the best advice I could give you is take your time. I came out really young. Really young. I came out this year will be 10 years that I came out, and I'm only 24. So I came out really young. I don't regret it at all. Because it's just one of those things like when you know, you know. And shit happens for a reason. Shit happens for a reason. So, yeah. Always stay true to who you are. Be able to like what you see in the mirror. Because you have to deal with you at the end of the day. You. And then be mindful and never waver on who you are. Because I think that's a really big thing for me that I had to learn, because I was always the gay friend. And all of my friends were straight women or straight men. And it was always that you should try it. You should try it. You should try being with a man. How you know you don't like men if you've never been with a man? Because I don't. Like, I don't. And that's okay. That's okay. And I would be cautious of keeping those kind of people around you. But then that's when it comes to a point where you have to be mentally strong and not allow other people to think for you or allow other people's preferences or beliefs dictate how you move in life. So yeah, now that I'm done with my little rants, let's get into the story. I came out twice to my mom. First time I came out to my mom was, I think I was like 13. It was in between 7th grade and 8th grade. So I had called my mom. I was at my aunt's house, and I had called my mom, and I don't know if I was crying or what, but I called my mom and told her, I was like, I think I'm bisexual. And I was feeling that way because even as like a child, like as far back as like 8 or 9, I can remember going to my mom crying, like, I can't stop looking at women's boobs and butts. Like, I just can't stop. And she would just tell me, that's normal. It's normal. It's okay. And then as I got older, I was very, like, uncomfortable being in um, certain settings with, like, okay, so I went to a summer camp, and the girls had their own dressing room and the boys had theirs. It would make me very uncomfortable to be in dressing rooms with other girls because I found myself staring. And I never wanted to be that one that would get called out for staring. Like, what are you looking at? Or, oh, you're gay. Like, I didn't want that to be a thing that happened to me. So I would always try to, like, exit the room, or I would go change in a stall. When the other girls were changing, I would look away. And even now, like, I still do that because I don't want to make other people uncomfortable. Or because I find it a lot that a lot of straight girls tend to think that because you're gay, you like them. And no, sweetheart, sorry to burst your bubble, but that's not. This ain't it. This ain't it. So when I called my mom and told her how I was feeling, she said that we would discuss it when I turned 15. I don't know what the significance is of the age 15. I really don't know, but that's what she said. So I was like, okay. So I get to high school, and I did have a girlfriend in the eighth grade. I had two, actually. And I was like head over heels for that first one. Like, to this day, I still have a duffel bag that has like my name, but her last name is my last name, as if we were married, and the anniversary on my on the duffel bag. And then I even still have a picture on my Facebook page of me kissing her cheek. Like, I was, child, you can't tell me that was not gonna be my wife, okay? I was in love. And when we broke up, I would cry every night. I would turn all the lights off, my TV off. I would get at the foot of my bed, turn my fan on, lay in front of my fan, and around like 11:30 every night. And y'all, if y'all listen to the radio back in like 2010, y'all know what I'm talking about. Every night at the same time, K97.5 will always play All I Want Is You by Miguel and J. Cole. When I tell you every night that that song came on like clockwork, I would cry myself to sleep because I was in love with that girl. So, so I get to high school, and for the first time, I was riding the bus by myself because from the ages of, well, grades of like fourth grade to eighth grade, my aunt and my mom were my bus drivers. So my cousins rode the bus with me, or I rode the bus with my aunt or my mama, or I always had somebody that I was familiar with on the bus. So now this is the first time, like, me and my mom had moved, and I wasn't going to school with my cousins anymore. I was by myself. So I had made friends, and a lot of the people who lived in my neighborhood, I actually went to elementary school with them. So that was pretty dope. So it was this one girl who rode my bus, and she was gay. And we didn't like each other. We honestly were just friends. And we would like hold hands. But it wasn't like, sometimes girls just hold hands. Like, it's not like a, it's not a thing. So we would hold hands, but because this was my first year at that school, nobody really knew me except for the people that I rode the bus with. But I guess everyone knew her and knew that she was gay. So my cousin, who is my mom's sister's daughter, has a cousin on her dad's side who went to high school with me. And so one day I get a phone call from my cousin, and she's like, he's gonna tell my mom and my dad that you're gay, and he saw you holding hands with a gay girl at school. And by this time, my cousin already knew I was gay. She found out in middle school because the girl I was dating was her best friend. Um, so I'm like freaking out. I'm panicking. I'm like, I was really depressed. I was really sad. I even like really prayed about it. Honestly, I had prayed that the feelings would go away before I would have to tell my mom, because I didn't want that to be something that she heard from somebody else. I wanted that to be something that she heard from me. So, I can't remember like how much time lapsed in between her telling me that and me telling my mom. I honestly don't remember because it was so long ago, but I do remember being really depressed and really anxious and just always like waiting for the shoe to drop. Like, I come home from school and my mom is like, what the fuck? Such and such told me that blah, 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 blah. And usually when you get third hand information, it's so exaggerated that it probably wouldn't have even been what really happened. So, one day I was texting a friend of mine. Shout out to Taylor. I don't even know if she remembers this, but Taylor was like a really big support system for me because I was stressing out. Like, and if you don't know, I also have a hair pulling condition where I pull my hair out when I'm stressed or I'm bored or I'm sad, anxious. Like, it's a form of OCD. And a lot of times for me, it is brought on by excessive stress. So, I started pulling my hair out more, and I wasn't really eating. I wasn't really sleeping. Um, and I genuinely thought that if the words came out of my mouth, I am gay, I was going to die in my sleep because I thought that God was going to kill me. And I know that is a backwards way of thinking, but that is something that a lot of people struggle. And I think that that's one of the hardest parts, is going against what you've been taught, because you are taught that it is wrong. And I think one thing that my mom is a really big reason why I've been able to step away from that way of thinking, because I only live once. And I don't want to get to the end of my life regretting not being myself, regardless of what anybody has to say. So, I had told my mom. I finally got the courage to tell my mom. And if anybody knows my mom, like, y'all, like, you really would have to know my mama to understand, like, the way she is. So, I feel kind of crazy now that I did all of this stressing and hair pulling and crying, and so my mom was asleep, and I was texting Taylor, and Taylor was like, you need to tell her before somebody else tells her, because that might make the situation 10 times worse. And even if she doesn't react the way you want her to, at least now your conscience is clear. You can breathe, and you just now know, you just deal with whatever comes after the fact. So, my mom gets up. I hear her go in the kitchen, and she's digging in the refrigerator for something. And I'm sitting on the counter, and I said, Mom, I have something to tell you. And she's like, what? And I said, I'm gay. And she was like, Literally. Already knew that. Closed the refrigerator, grabbed her french fries off the stove, and walked back in her room. And she's like, that's why you always keep that. She was like, what she said verbatim was, I already know that. That's why you like to keep your hair short. And then she grabs her french fries and goes into her room. So I'm just looking like, you're not going to yell? I've been stressing myself out, like, and that's all you gonna say? Okay. So I go in my room and I'm texting my friend and I'm telling her like what happened. And so like she's like so happy for me. And Taylor, if you see this, just know I appreciate you. Because I don't know, even if you don't remember it, I do. So thank you. So, then later on she comes to my room and she's like, you know, I always love you, but I'm not always going to be around to defend you. So you have to stand firm in who you are. So I'm like, okay. And she said, I can only do or address what I'm around for. But you have to be able to stand up for yourself too. Because everybody does not think like you. Everybody does not think like me. You have to be able to stand up for yourself. So I'm one of those kids that if my mama say it's okay, it's okay. I don't care what nobody gotta say. If my mama tell me I'm right, I'm right. And that's how Mary had a little man. So then that was in maybe like October of, that was like September or October of 2011. So then another part of this story is, so growing up I didn't really have like a relationship with my dad. It was kind of always like up and down, in and out. So I knew that I was gonna have to tell him, but I didn't think that it was something that he needed to know immediately, because I don't even think we were really talking during that time anyway. So that was in October, September of 2011. So in November of 2011, I got into my first like relationship. And that so happened to be, if you have been watching my channel from the beginning, I was in a relationship about 3-4 years ago. That was the same girl I dated in 2011. So, so yeah. The only thing is, we had never met in person. And that is another story time I can tell. So, so then in April of 2012, me, my mom, and my cousin. Oh, wait. Let me back up. So I told my mama not to tell anybody. And you know when you tell your mama not to tell somebody, but you know your mama can't hold water? The next day I go to school, I get a text message from my aunt, who I love dearly. She says, I love you no matter what. I don't care that you're gay. And it hurts me that you think that I would love you any less if I knew. Like, I couldn't even be mad that she told her. Like, if anybody knows mine, like, you know she's like heaven sent. Like, so, whew. So that was a relief that I didn't have to tell her, that my mama told her for me. So, then in April of 2012, I get into an argument with my dad about something that was totally unrelated to what I had going on. So I had not talked to my dad from like the middle of April up until my cousin calls me again. Like, she always calling some bad news, talking about some my your dad just called my dad asking him if we knew that you were gay. And my uncle didn't know. My aunt didn't tell him because my uncle is religious. So, and what I will say about that, um, one thing that hurt me about that situation surrounding like my aunt, my cousin, and my uncle was that my aunt did defend me, but the dynamic of like I'm really close to my aunt, and I was that niece that I would go to my aunt's house just to see my aunt. Like, I wasn't really going to see my cousins. I would just go because I wanted to be around my aunt. And my uncle had made a comment like, "You knew she was gay and she's sleeping in the bed with our daughter." And it's like, okay, like, that's my cousin. Like, and so like from that point on, like, I would have to like sleep on the couch. I couldn't sleep in my cousin's bed anymore. And that really hurt my feelings because it was like, me being gay doesn't change who I am. Like, it doesn't change my morals and my values. It's just who I come home to at night, who I love, who I'm attracted to. Like, it doesn't change who I am fundamentally. Like, it doesn't change how I was raised. So that did hurt my feelings. And I never like said anything. Like, that's actually the first time that I've actually like said that. So, so my cousin calls me and tells me what was being said, and I call my dad. And I asked my dad, is there something that you need to ask me? And because we had gotten into an argument 2 months prior, the only thing he said to me was, "Didn't I tell you don't call my phone anymore?" And I'm like, who are you talking to? Like, what? And he hangs up in my face. And that was June of 2012. And I didn't talk to my dad again until May of 2016. And later on, I found out that how he found out was because a cousin on my dad's side was following me on Twitter. And like I said, I was in a relationship with my ex. And, Twitter in 2011 is a lot different from Twitter now. Like, you was calling people like one of my followers, and you was always like mentioning people and, quote tweeting and, just really being open. And Twitter has always been a safe space for me. Like, I don't allow everybody to follow me. I will tell you to add me on Facebook and Instagram before I tell you to follow me on Twitter. Like, I can really be myself on Twitter. Like, I can talk my shit in peace. I literally have maybe 3 family members who follow me on Twitter. 3. I don't have any friends who actually like know me. I think like me and my first ex-girlfriend, the one from middle school, we follow each other on Twitter. Then I have a couple friends from middle school I follow on Twitter, and I have 2 cousins who follow me on Twitter. and that's it. But as far as coworkers and other friends, oh no ma'am, no ma'am, that's my safe space for me to talk my shit. So, the fact that my privacy was invaded really bothered me. He actually logged onto his Twitter, went to my profile, and allowed my father to read every single tweet of mine. And that's how he found out that I was gay. It was because I was talking about my girlfriend. I was mentioning my girlfriend. Um, and then it had made sense because for Mother's Day, I had tweeted, no, for Father's Day, I had tweeted, and I was like, Happy Father's Day to my mom, because my mom is the only parent that I really know. Like, even though I have a relationship with him now, but I'm 24. We've only been talking consistently since 2016. That's 20 years that my mom is the only real consistent parent that I know. So yeah, every year for Father's Day, I told my mother Happy Father's Day, because that was my mother and my father. And when I tweeted that, um, it was coming from my cousin's profile, but now I know it was my dad, and he was like, "Yeah, tell her Happy Father's Day for me too." What? Like, huh? Whatever. So I did not talk to my dad for 4 years. Um, yeah. Then, when my dad, I ended up having to reach out to him. Well, I did end up reaching out to my stepmom because I do have a brother. And my brother is 12. He'll be 13 in 2 months. And he is my dad's son with his wife. So, years had been going by, and my dad had missed graduation, he had missed scholarship dinners, he had missed senior assemblies, he missed prom, like really big moments in my life. He missed. And for what? For what? Like, who cares? Who cares? So, I reached out to my stepmom, and my stepmom is religious as well. My aunt's husband, my stepmom, and my dad all go to the same church, and they all go to the same church. So, and to give a better context, like if you know anything about the different, like, what would it be called, like sectors? Like, you know, you have Baptist and Pentecostal, their holiness. So, if that gives you any context. So, I had reached out to my stepmom, and she was just like, I don't care. I genuinely don't care. It doesn't change who you are as a person. Like, I still love you just the same. Oh. And I will say that she did try in those 4 years to still have some type of relationship with me, but I know how my dad is, and I just didn't want to make things awkward for her in her marriage. So I just, chose to stay away. And then I think one thing that really bothered me about my dad was the fact that when we did start back talking, my uncle had called me and was like, your dad wants to hear from you. And I'm like, well, I still have the same phone number. He's the one that changed his phone number so that I couldn't get in contact with him. But my uncle always told me, you don't hate the person, you hate their actions, and you have to meet people where they are. He only knows how to be as best of a parent as he knows how. So I said, okay. And I reached out to my dad, and we had a long talk. And by that time, I was preparing to move an hour away from home to go to another school. And during that conversation, it was like it never happened. Like, he didn't mention it at all. Like, at all. And I'm like, how can you sit here 4 years later and not even, like, address the elephant in the room? Like, and to this day, like, we have not talked about that. Like, it was like it never happened. So that's a conversation that me and him need to have, because I feel like that's been weighing heavy on me for a long time. It's made me angry, and it's made me have trust issues, and it's made me a different person. Because the two people who are supposed to love you more than anything in the world, who are supposed to pour unconditional love into you, I had one parent like that. One. And I'm thankful to have that one. Because some people don't get either. Some people get both. Some people get none. Some people get one. But the fact that my dad just, he could have cared less. Like, so then me and my dad started back talking, but that was never something that was brought up until later on in 2016. I had gotten into a serious relationship, and that is the relationship that you guys saw on YouTube. And so I knew that that was going to be something that I was going to have to tell my dad, because for one, I'm grown, and I just don't like having to feel like I'm sneaking, because I'm grown. And by that time, I had already came out. It had been 5 years since I had came out to my mom. So she was aware that I was in a relationship. But then I had told my dad, I had texted him and I said, hey, I just want to let you know that I'm in a relationship now, and it's pretty serious. And he was like, why are you being like really vague? Is it a boy or a girl? And I'm like, it's a girl. And he was like, well, I mean, at this point in life, the only thing I can expect from you is to be a good person. And he was like, has it changed who you are as a person and how you were raised? And I said no. And then he was like, okay. And that was the gist of that conversation. And now he'll say, like, you know how some parents are, like, they're not gonna say like your girlfriend, they're gonna say like your little friend, and that irks the shit out of me, because that's not my little friend. Like, don't try to downplay. And I know some people are not comfortable with saying it, but it gets on my nerves, because you know that that's not my little friend. That's my girlfriend. That's my woman. So, he'll say like, oh, your friend, or how you talk to your friend with that. And then when I was in that relationship, he wasn't very, like, I'm not gonna say he was mean to her, but he just wasn't interested in knowing her. And that irritated me, because you don't know her to not like her. And it was really annoying, because her family treated me like shit simply because I was a woman. Like, I was called some of the nastiest names. And it was like, you're not necessarily doing the same thing that they were doing to me, but you weren't being a supportive parent the way I feel like you should have been. So one instance was, and I can just like wrap this up because I'm looking at my time and it's already about 40 minutes. So the fair had came around, and this was in like 2017, 18. The fair had came around, and um, oh, and no, we were not together like that whole time. Like, I met her in 2011, but I wasn't dating her like in between. Like, we dated for 6 months. Like, he literally found out that I was dating her when we broke up. Like, we weren't even together anymore. You stopped talking to me, and I'm not even with her anymore. Like, what the hell? So then we didn't talk for years, and then just randomly she just texted me back in 2016 when I had moved. I had finally moved away to go to school, and I was there for maybe like a month, and I just got a random ass text message, and it was her, and we started dating, and we moved in together, and then yeah. So 2018, we were going to the fair, and I would go around her family. Like, they were, her dad was cool, but her mom was like, so her brother would come around, and I wanted my brother to go because our brothers are literally the same age. They're like 5 months apart. Um, and I just wanted like to spend time with my brother, and I'm like, well, what better way to spend time with my brother than to take him to the fair? Like, so my dad at first had said no because he didn't want us kissing in front of him, and what most people say, they don't want it to rub off on the child. And I'm not a fan of PDA. I'm just not. I don't like kissing in public. I really don't like holding hands in public. I just don't like PDA. And it may be because of that, like, because you never know what somebody else is thinking. And somebody can see me kiss my girlfriend, and then next thing you know, I'm on Channel 11 News for being shot outside of Food Lion for kissing my girlfriend. No, I try to stay away from PDA. So, um, and I'm also just not an affectionate. I'm affectionate in private. Like, I don't know. I'm weird. Maybe we can dive into the stereotypical lesbian shit that people assume, so I can dismantle it because I'm not the average anything. So, he tells me no, he cannot go because of those reasons. Then he also said that she was not welcome at his house, um, and just some other like nonsense. So my stepmother was like, he can go. And when we came to pick him up, um, my dad did not come outside to meet her, which I thought was very strange. Your son is about to go with her, and you don't even know what she looks like. Didn't come outside to meet her, did not come outside to say hello, nothing, but my stepmother did, and I appreciate her for that because that was just so dope to me. Like, that was just so dope. Like, that to me is a sign of unconditional love. Like, regardless of what your beliefs are, you still, like, there was no judgment. She was very welcoming, very sweet, kind, um, and made her feel seen. Like, she's not invisible. She's a person. Like, she's here. Like, we're together. We live together. Like, we have a dog together. Like, she is the person that I see every day. I spend every day with her. And for you to just be so dismissive is just not okay. But anyways, so um we go to the fair. Everything was cool. Like, my brother liked her. She liked my brother. Our brothers liked each other. So everything was good. We took my brother back home. It really wasn't like a big deal about it after that. Um, then my dad ended up meeting her one day by complete accident. She was looking for a car, and we were at a gas station, and I was like getting ready to like back my car up, and there was a truck behind me. And anybody who knows me knows I'm TTG. Like, I have a mouth on me. I am my mother's daughter, so I'm always on go. So, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm about to get out of the car because they need to move. Like, I'm ready to go. They need to move their car. It just happened that the car behind me was my dad. So I was like, okay, like we're gonna see how this is gonna go. So he met her, and I mean, he was just kind of like indifferent, like, hey, how you doing? It wasn't really like anything too special. Um, so yeah, that's my coming out story. My mom used to tell me all the time, like, I'm so glad you're gay. Like, I don't gotta deal with you getting pregnant. I don't gotta deal with all of these little boys, and So I'm happy you're gay. And my mama also gave me like 5 rules to live by when dating women. Um, I only remember 3, and it was don't date somebody who has kids because that means that she's confused, and you need to stay away from people who are confused. 2, it was date someone whose family is okay with the fact that they're gay because you don't come from a family where you were treated poorly for being gay. Even though like and when I say that, like, I'm not including my dad. Like, I'm including my mom, my aunt, my mom's brothers, like my cousins. Honestly, nobody gave a fuck. Everybody knows now. I'm pretty, but except for like my grandma. Honestly, I don't know if my grandma knows, but if you know my grandma, she don't need to know, child. She don't need to know. So, 3 was you need to date somebody that is just as equally yoked as you are. Um, and I can't remember what the other 2 were. I can't remember. I have to ask her and see if she remembers, or ask my cousin who was there with me, because my cousin was there. Mama, if you know my mama, you know she goes off on tangents. So she was vacuuming, going off on a tangent about like, because me and that particular cousin are both gay. So yeah, um, I may do like another video asking my mama how she feels about me being gay, so that y'all can get her perspective. Um, if I do record it, her face probably won't be in it because she really doesn't like being on camera. Um, but yeah, that's my coming out story. 10 years later, and I couldn't be happier. It's made me who I am, and it's made me be confident in who I am and stand firm on who I am. Um, that's something that I'm not wavering on. It's just not. I like what I like. It makes me happy. I like women. Like women. Who doesn't like a good woman? Like, what? Have you seen them? So yeah. Happy Pride Month, babies. Always be true to who you are. Even if that means giving the whole world your ass to kiss. Because you have to be happy with who you are. So yeah. Have a good day, y'all. And stay tuned for the next video.